Hi everybody, Patrick here from EngineeringShock.com, PaintballProps.com, and EscapeRoomElectronics.com. This is the Ultrasonic Experiment Set video manual. And in this video we're going to cover the 4 modes of operation. We're going to talk about how to connect this to the servo motor for ultrasonic sentry mode. And we're also going to talk about how you can reprogram it if you'd like to do so. So first of all, let's talk about the ultrasonic ping sensor. The ultrasonic ping sensor can be removed easily from its 4-pin female header, and it only fits in one way, back in quite easily. Now, let's remove the LCD and we'll look at the main chip. I should mention that both the assembly video and the Kickstarter campaign are linked below. By removing the 4 top standoff screws from the LCD, you can gently remove the LCD from its connector. Now here's the chip. Now let's get a closer look at the chip. You'll notice that our chip has a little notch on the left hand side. This is the same chip you used in your Arduino Uno. So what you can do is you can remove this chip by using a flat screwdriver and just gently massaging it out from the side. When you program it, it comes fully programmed, but if you decide to reprogram it yourself, you remove the chip, place it in your Arduino Uno, and program it, then remove it and place it back in with the notch facing the left hand side from this perspective. The chip used is called the Atmega 328P, and in your Arduino Uno the notch is also facing the outside of the board from this perspective. So when you remove this chip, lift it directly over and place it back into the Arduino Uno to reprogram it. Again, you won't have to do this unless you want to tweak the program that I'm offering with this campaign, and that program is comprised of 4 different programs: security mode, sound versus distance mode, rangefinder mode, and servo sentry mode. And I'm going to talk right now about how to select those modes of operation. On the upper right side of the board you'll notice 3 3-pin headers, A, B, and C. We use the 3-pin C header for our servo motor, for servo sentry mode, and we use the A header and B header and these 2 jumpers to select the mode of operation on power up. Place your jumpers according to the next section and power up to start off in your desired mode. When I power up in ultrasonic distance mode, the LCD will read sound versus distance, and when I press and hold this button, the ping sensor will take samples of the distance between itself and the object obstructing it, and it will output a different frequency of beep depending on the distance. So only when you're pressing and holding the cell button. Now you'll notice also that there is a thin film that's removable on the LCD. It might offer some glare during this video, but I'm going to keep it on because the LCD is susceptible to fingerprints. So just for the sake of keeping it on for now, I don't want to obstruct it by adding fingerprints. So I'm just going to power it up, and hopefully the glare isn't problematic. Ultrasonic test unit, sound versus distance mode. Now when I press the button but nothing is obstructing the view, nothing happens. But as soon as I introduce an object, and out of the way and back in the way, so sound versus distance mode, very easy. Power it up in that specific mode, press the button, and it will take samples and output a different frequency of beeping depending on the distance. When you power up in rangefinder mode, you want to make sure that the unit is flat and that the sensor is aiming directly at a solid object. If you aim it at curved objects or a bunch of different objects, you might get weird false readings, but you will get a consistent reading, especially if the object that's obstructing the sensor is a flat surface. So when I power it up, ignore what it's saying in the beginning. It says ultrasonic test unit, and then it should say rangefinder mode, and then it'll automatically start taking samples. But because I'm aiming it at something inconsistent right now, it will occasionally give me a false reading. So it is roughly 10 centimeters away, but I'm not aiming it at a flat surface. So now I'm going to aim it at a flat surface to give you an idea of how accurate it is. The camera can't pick up what's reading on the LCD very well, but it is consistent. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in on the LCD just to give you an idea. We're consistently reading 15 centimeters. When you power up in security mode, what you have to do is press the cell button once you have lined your ultrasonic sensor up with the object that you want to sample. So if someone breaks that beam once you've taken the sample, the alarm will go off. So let's have a gander. Once it's lined up, press the cell button. Acquiring sample. Sample acquired, LCD shutdown. The LCD shuts down and it waits. As soon as someone comes within that beam, security breach. And then it resets. So we can just simply press cell again. And it resets the system. A very simple mode of operation, but you can tweak it by taking my program and editing it for your own purposes. Servo Sentry mode requires a few extra elements, and if you've pledged towards a Kickstarter reward tier that includes it, you'll receive a servo motor kit with a few heads, we're only using one, and a few screws, as well the Servo Sentry PCB, 2 female to female header sets or cable sets, one female to female, one female to male. And what we're going to do is we're not going to mount the ping sensor on the board. We're going to connect the board to this little PCB here, mount that to the servo motor using one of these heads, and then we're going to mount the ping sensor onto this extra PCB. So let's take this piece by piece, as this requires some finesse. The first thing we have to do is use our male to female connector set to connect the female header here to the male header here. So GND here, ECH echo to here, trigger to here, and 5 volts to here. Next we want to take our 3-pin female to female cable and connect them to the C header. So ground, C, and 5 volts. On the middle header we want to connect those previous connections to ground, C, and 5 volts. Now we've got our connections made to the servo printed circuit board. Lastly, we have to connect our servo motor. The servo motor has 3 wires, brown, red, and orange. Brown goes to the bottom side, orange to the opposite side. Should fit on there quite nicely. Okay, so now we're not going to put this on just yet, but the idea is, this is where we place our ultrasonic ping sensor. But I'm going to remove that for now, and now we're going to modify one of our servo heads. You're going to want to set aside one of the larger screws, and you're going to want to take this specific head, and I want you to cut it at the base. Now that it's cut, simply toss this piece into the garbage, and this is the piece we want. Now before we fit the servo PCB onto the servo motor, what I want you to do is power up the board, and the servo motor should automatically go to its default position. And then unplug it. As soon as it goes to its default position, unplug it. Now what I want you to do is, from this angle with the wires to the left, is take this modified piece and fit it down at roughly this angle. Roughly. Now you can fiddle with this. You're not going to damage anything. You might find that it works at different angles, but I always fit it on at roughly this angle, down to the right here. Now we're ready to fit the servo PCB onto the servo motor. What I've done is I've put the small screw in, the hole closest to the wiring, and I'm going to have the ultrasonic side facing alongside with the angle of the modified piece here, and I'm going to screw it in. Now don't over screw it in, or else you'll strip the servo motor. So just make it tight enough so that it's not going to damage anything. Now what I've done is I've glued the servo motor wire coming out to the right, other side at roughly this angle to a surface. Just a little bit of hot glue to keep it in place. And of course the LCD is upside down from this perspective, but all it does is say ultrasonic sentry mode, and then breach detected when an object comes within its limited view. And the view is limited. You can reprogram it to have a longer view, but for the time being, I'm just going to plug it in. Sorry, ultrasonic test unit, servo sentry mode, and it's detecting the camera. So I'm going to move the camera back, and it will just go back and forth, looking for something that obstructs its view. When something obstructs its view, it says object detected. And there you have it. That is the complete video manual. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us through engineeringshock.com. We have a contact page. You can also contact us directly through the Kickstarter campaign. And yeah, the assembly video for this project can be found below. The sample code, which will be completely commented, will be available to pledges at the end of this campaign, and the schematic diagram as well. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a great day, and I hope that this video helped you if you were a pledge to my Kickstarter campaign. Take care, everyone.